Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am excited about today's show. We have a special guest, and it's all about traffic in particular. I have said for years that you need two things to sell. You need something people want, and you have to match it up with the right eyeballs, the right people who want what you have to offer. So you need an offer, and then you need the right people. So traffic is so important. So as you're coming in, just give me a shout out. Where in the world are you? And how are you today? I know there's a lot of craziness in the world today. So just drop in hey, what are you grateful for today? I know there's a lot that we're kind of all over the place with, but I'd love to know what everybody. So we have Mark. Hey, Mark. Mark's over on Periscope. Yay. Great to see you. All right. So Mark, as you guys are coming in, just give me, and I'm going to go ahead and pull in. Let me introduce him first and then y'all get your clappers ready, because I wish we had sound effects, because I just think, we just need that dynamic, drum roll kind of thing. Right. But our guest today, special guest today, is the one and only Russell Brunson. And I don't know if everybody knows him, but if you don't know him, let me just give you a little background on him. When I first was introduced to Russell, it was around a story where he had created a lot of money, leveraging his knowledge. Essentially, he put together an ebook for a potato gun instructions, like how do you put it together? And he made a lot of money with that. But he has built a following of over 1 million entrepreneurs. He's sold thousands of copies of his books. He's the one, honestly, who's made popular the whole concept of sales funnels. We all got to have them, guys. And he co-founded a software company called ClickFunnels that helps tens of thousands of people, to include myself, put their offers out into the world as quickly as possible. So as you guys are coming in, and like I say, let me just bring him in and say, woohoo, welcome.
Hey, Kim, how's it going?
I'm so glad you're here. I just been setting the stage, letting everybody know how awesome you are.
Oh, I appreciate that. I'm so excited to be here with you guys.
Yeah. So looks like we've got all kinds of folks from all over the place, and all different kinds. We've got people from YouTube and here on Facebook, or say Facebook because I'm mostly used to Facebook, but Periscope, LinkedIn. So we got people from all over jumping in to say, hey, welcome.
I'm glad to be here. I've never used StreamYard before. I've never seen it with pulls and Periscope and everything. That's amazing.
Yeah, it doesn't pull in from LinkedIn, but we are live on LinkedIn as well. So yeah, so it's and LinkedIn, by the way, if you don't have LinkedIn Live, you got to have it. It's amazing. So I have some questions for you.
Awesome. I'm excited.
Yeah. And I know you're on a timeline, so I'll be monitoring that. I was just sharing that my first impression or first touch point with you was your potato gun story, right? That was way back. So that's been a minute. By the way, guys, Russell is older than he looks. So how old are you, Russell, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, I wish everyone guessed in the comments. No, I just turned 40 this year. So I've got 5 amazing kids and a beautiful wife. Yeah. It's funny. I get carded. I'm like, I've got 5 kids and I don't drink anyway, but they're like, you do not. I'm like, no, here they are. And some of them are as big as me now.
Well, it's funny because when I get carded, it happens once in a while, and it's not because of that I look young. It's more about the fact that's just their rule, but it's like, oh, you think I'm young? That's awesome. So it's a total different dynamic when you're a woman versus a man. So I know that you're in the middle of a book launch. Your latest book, which, by the way, everybody is going to need to grab. Let me get it in the screen here. There you go. Russell's got it too. And I'm going to put a link on the screen so you guys can know where to go get it. But you're using, you've got
to move it through the camera. There we go.
That is artful promotion right there, my friend. That is amazing. So let me share. I got this amazing little doodads and stuff in this little Thanos thing. They're using Russell's using a very clever promotional thing around the book launch, and it's a Thanos theme essentially. But as I was thinking this through, I was thinking that, I really feel like that this is kind of, it's that snap thing, right? Mm-hmm. With so much going on in the world right now, literally the world, I feel like this is so appropriate. You probably, when this happened, you were like, oh my gosh, this is going to kill my book launch. But I actually,
the book launch went live the day that Trump was like, everyone don't move. I'm like, oh.
Yeah. But I actually think that this is so appropriate because it's such I just was sharing before, I feel like there's two things that you need to create revenue in your business. That's an offer and traffic. Yep. So your book is all about traffic secrets. So I think it's just such a perfect time. But my question to you is this: how in the world did you write an evergreen book about traffic?
That's a good question. And it's something that stressed me out for so long. It was funny because I was in the middle of my second book, Expert Secrets, when it was launching. It was like day 2, and I got an email from my friend John Reese, who he owned Traffic Secrets. And I swore, I told my team, I'm like, I'm never writing a book again. It's so hard. And he emailed me. He's like, hey, I'm selling my company. Do you want to buy Traffic Secrets from me? And I was like, this would be the third and final book. It's the last thing people need is like traffic. And so I said yes. And then I sat on it for a year, and I stressed about so much. I'm like, how to write a book about something that changes every 5 minutes. And then, because I don't want to write it and then promote it and people get it like, wait, that MySpace isn't here anymore. Why is he talking about MySpace? Like, I didn't want that to happen. And so I spent forever trying to think, like, how do I do this in a way that will last forever? Like today, tomorrow, and like 10 years from now, 100 years from now, the strategies will still be relevant. And what was interesting is I started thinking back about like when I started learning traffic, because hopefully, am I frozen?
Yes. But you didn't have a weird expression on your face. So
okay, am I back?
You're back.
Hopefully I'm back. Okay. I started thinking about like when I learned traffic, because I started doing traffic. It was funny. It was before Facebook. It was before MySpace. And before MySpace, there was Friendster and then Foursquare. And I started way back then before all those things happened. And I was like, how did we get traffic back then? I couldn't remember.
Hang on. Sorry. I messed that up. I'm trying to put you on the screen instead of me. And go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No worries. I'm like, I disappeared. Am I still here?
Yeah.
The Thanos snap just happened, and I disappeared in the middle of it.
Yeah.
No, but I started thinking back, how did I learn traffic back then? Because it was different. It wasn't just like running ads on Facebook. It was like, we didn't have Facebook. We had to do things differently. And how did we grow companies back then? And I started realizing that there's so many principles that we do here inside ClickFunnels to grow our company that people don't talk about and they don't share. And so I started listing out like the strategies, and that's kind of this book is like helping people understand the overarching strategy about how to get traffic. When you understand the principles and the strategies, you can apply it to anything. You can apply it to Facebook, to Instagram, to YouTube. You can apply it to Twitch or to TikTok or whatever new platform comes out in 5 years from now. We don't even know about. These principles will work in all of them. And so that's kind of how we did it. And it was, like I said, really scary to write. But after I figured out the right way to do it, then it became so much fun. And I spent 18 months doing it. And now it's finally here today.
And it's awesome, by the way. So I find it also, it's just kind of an interesting dynamic because the very first sentence, essentially in your introduction, is the storm is coming, right? It's not coming, guys. It is here. And, I'll just share real quick in my space, the social media space, a lot of my community are service providers. And they are, clients have pulled their contracts. They're all of a sudden without revenue. So I've been trying to teach people how to leverage their knowledge, right? To create revenue, which is so appropriate for sales funnels and, as you know. So there's so many people hurting right now. What, if you had to give them one piece of advice, where would they start with this traffic concept? What would you give? What would you say to them?
I think the biggest thing I tell people is like the skill set of traffic is like in any business, the person who can come to a business and get leads to come through the door. We always call them rainmakers. Like the person who can make it rain in a company always has the job. They can write their own paychecks because they're the ones who bring the customers in. And I think for anybody, it's understanding like if you can get traffic, first off, if you have your own business, it's like, cool, I have a business, I can use traffic to grow and to scale it. If you don't have a business yet, if you learn these principles and understand them and master them, you can go to any business. I think about, on the backside of the coronavirus and stuff, when businesses start opening up and everyone's freaking out because they lost their customers, you come into someone saying, look, I know that you've been struggling. I know how to get, like, I spent the last 2 months in quarantine mastering these principles and I know how to get traffic for you. Can I do that for you? That skill set is valuable to every business. And I've seen people who have learned these strategies and then gone on to different companies and said, look, I can bring traffic, I can bring leads to you. But if I'm going to do it, I need to get paid this much, or I need to make sure I want equity in the company, or I want a royalty on every customer I bring in. And people give it to them because you're literally bringing the cash in the door for the customer. So I think understanding that right now, especially if you've been doing freelancing stuff and you've been helping people, like this skill set is by far the most valuable skill set that you can offer any company. It's so valuable. And so the more you can understand it and master it, the more valuable you become. And then again, you can do it for other people's companies, or you can do it for your own as well. And that's really the big secret to understand.
Totally agree. I think that if you can market and again, matching up your great offer with a traffic source, you could write your own ticket. Pretty much, a lot of people will say that about copywriters, but I say you can write great copy, but if you don't understand traffic, well, you're back to square one, right?
Yep.
So there's a couple of basic types of traffic, like search and interruption, and I don't think people understand the two. Can I get you to delve into that a little bit, especially because there's social media and then there's search, right? Yeah. Well, interruption, the concept of interruption does apply to social.
Yeah, I would love to. So, and this is interesting because if you look at throughout time, this has been true. Like if you look at early 1900s, right? When people wanted something, they'd sit at home like, oh, I need a hammer. And so they would go and they would search for a hammer. They'd open the yellow pages, look for it, or they'd drive to the store and they'd search for a hammer. And so what was interesting is it was really good for the businesses who were selling hammers, but they couldn't stimulate business. They just sit back and wait for somebody to have a desire for a hammer. And then they'd be there and I got a hammer. And so the customers that came to them were hot, but they couldn't stimulate growth to grow their business, right? And in the book, I shared the story about one of the very first times that interruption marketing happened, and it was actually I think it was the World Series, and people were watching TV. There was they said New York alone, there was 4,000 TVs watching the baseball game. In the middle of it, it stopped, and there was this 9-second ad for Bulva watches. And in fact, if you go to YouTube, you search Bulva watch 9-second ad, you'll see the old ad. It was really bad. But it was the first time that, everyone was sitting on TV, they were watching this thing, and then they were interrupted with an ad. And Bulva had 9 seconds to come in and say, this is why you need this watch. They could create desire and make someone want to go and find them, right? Whereas before they sit back and wait for someone to say, I want a watch. Where can I find a watch? Let me search for one. And that's how it started back then. And then obviously today we see it all the time, right? You watch a TV show and you're interrupted with ads. You're sitting at home eating dinner and someone knocks on the door and they interrupt you to sell you, pest control or an alarm system or something. And it's interesting though, because in every platform, it starts at search and then it shifts eventually to interruption. And so you think about the internet when it first started, when I got started, 17, 18 years ago, the way we got traffic was search engines. We'd create ads, we optimize them, and we sit and we'd wait for somebody to search for us and we'd wait. And so it was great that people would come and find us, but it was hard to stimulate growth of your business. You couldn't do things to get new people. And then when Facebook came out and Instagram and Twitter, all these different social networks, they gave us the ability now where somebody can be on Facebook, reading about what they want, they're excited, and then they gives us the ability to interrupt them and show them our message. And that's really the powers. Now we can, because of interruption marketing, we can scale companies because we're not just waiting for people to come to us. We have the ability to find people who might be interested, and then we get to interrupt them. So we jump out there, they're sitting there on their phone, and they're swiping through, and then our ad interrupts them. It grabs their attention, and then we've got this little window where we hook. I call it hook story offer. We hook them right with one of our ads, with some of our content. So we hook them, and it gives us just a little window of time. Now we can tell them our story, and the goal of our story is to increase the perceived value of whatever it is you're selling, and then afterwards, then we make them an offer for what we're selling. So we have a hook, story, and an offer, and that's why interruption marketing is so exciting, because we don't just wait for, and we should be focusing on both sides. The book talks about both. Here's how we create things. So when people are searching, they find us. But then here's how we go and we create business and create desire by hooking somebody, tell them a story to increase their desire, make them want what we have, and then make them the offer for what we're selling. And so that's kind of the difference between the two and how they work hand in hand.
And the best part, in my opinion, about this is that it levels the playing ground too. So we can all play on that playground. Doesn't require tons of money. It gives us an opportunity to be competitive, I think, with the big boys. Maybe not to the same scale, but certainly do enough that will generate a lot of revenue for our businesses. So you talk about a concept called Dream 100 a lot in Traffic Secrets. I'd love you to dig into that a little bit, because I think that it's such a valuable, and nobody really has named it and framed it, I think, like you did in the book. So can you share that a little bit?
Yeah. And this comes back to, like, as we try to figure out, like, how do we get traffic? How do we find traffic? Especially if all I'm doing now on traffic is Facebook, like, if it disappears, what do I do? And so the concept of the Dream 100, it's kind of a couple step process. Number one is, for all of us, we have to understand, like, who is our dream customer? Who is the person that we really, really want to serve, right? In fact, the subtitle of the book is how to fill your funnels websites with your dream customers. Like the dream, like the customers that pay the best, or the most excited to work with. Like, they're like, who's your dream customer? And that's step number one. Step number two then is realizing that on the internet, people group together based on similar beliefs and values and things they're excited about. So if I know who my dream customer is, like, where are they hanging out online? Right? Maybe if, let's say, my dream customer is someone who's in health and fitness, it's like, okay, what are the health and fitness blogs that they read? What are the health and fitness podcasts they listen to? What are the health and fitness Facebook groups they're part of? I start looking at all the different places on the internet that they're congregating together, right? So step number one is who's my dream customer. Step number two is where are the pockets of people that are where are they congregating? And then the Dream 100 comes in saying, okay, so, like, who are the people that already congregated? So who owns the blog that has 100,000 people that are reading it, listening, talking about health and fitness, or about business, or about whatever the product you're serving? Who is the person that controls that congregation? Who is the person that controls the podcast they're listening to? Right? Who's the podcast host? And so what we do in the book here, in chapter secret number 2, is when you guys get a copy of your books, on page 41, I have this little chart here called the Dream 100. And what we have people do is say, okay, who on Facebook has already congregated your dream customers? And you list out as many of the different names as possible, right? So who already has a Facebook fan page with 30,000 or 50,000 or 100,000 people? Who has a Facebook group with 25,000 or 100,000 or a million people in it, right? And we list out all those people here. And then it's like, okay, over here on Instagram, who are all the people on Instagram who have already congregated? Who are the influencers who have my dream customers already there? And who are the podcasters? And we list out those. And we list out YouTube, and who has the email list and the blogs. We list out as many different people as we can. And my goal is try to get at least 100 people. So we call them the Dream 100, right? So for example, like when I was launching this book, I said, okay, who are all the people who already have my customers who could sell, right? Obviously, Kim, you were on the list, and I got other people on the list. And so now my job is to market to those people, because if I can get them to say one yes, it could open up the doors to hundreds or thousands of customers, right? And so the Dream 100 is figuring out who is already congregated your dream customers, and then how do I market to them so I can get access to their customers and their followers and their subscribers. And so I've been doing, during this book launch week, I've been doing interviews with bloggers who have, 1 million readers who talk about business. I do an interview with them, and then they post a blog post, and now it goes out to 1 million readers. I do it with podcast hosts. I do it with Facebook Live hosts and things like that, because one yes can get your message out to so many more people. And so for all the businesses out there, it's like, who are the people that already have your dream customers? How do you get to know them? How do you find those people? And then if you can get access to their audience, it opens up this huge door with, instead of getting one customer, you might get 100 or 1,000 or more.
But if you're not Russell Brunson, how do you reach out to those people? Like, I hate to say it's easy for you because you are Russell Brunson. You can reach out and say, hey, if you are just getting started, what's your best recommendation for somebody that is just getting started and needs to find 100 people that they can get into their communities? Yeah,
so it's a good question. I was thinking back about, like, when I got started, because I got started, it's been a while. I've been doing this for like 15, 16, 17, I don't know, a long time. But when I got started, like, I wasn't Russell Brunson, whatever that means, right? Like, I was just a normal person. And I remember, because I built my Dream 100 list, and I had like all these people that were like, I had Tony Robbins, and I had Joe Vitale, and I had all these people that are like the guys I wanted to meet, And I remember I sent messages to all of them, and none of them responded back to me. And at first I was like, oh, like, don't they remember what it was like to be a little guy? And I had that chip on my shoulder about it. But then I started realizing, I'm like, especially now looking back, like, now I realize how busy they all are and all were. And like, it's hard to, you get a lot of requests. But I remember getting frustrated, and like, none of these people listened to me. So then I stepped back. I said, well, if I'm not going to be able to get access to like the top tier people, like my dream people, like, who are the people that I could get access to? And I started looking around me, and I found people who had businesses that were similar to mine, that maybe they were the same size, maybe a little bit bigger. And so I started reaching out. I said, let me try these guys first. So I'd reach out to them. And what was funny is, like, it was really easy. Like, they would respond back. Like, all of them, like, they still answered their own emails. They like responded back to me, and I started messaging them. And I built my first Dream 100 was like a tier a tier of people that are about my same level or maybe a little bit higher. And I started doing promotions with them and helping each other out. And we did, collabs, and we like made videos together, we made products together. And what was interesting is that as that started happening, this group of us that kind of got together and started to get to know each other, our business started getting bigger. And as they got bigger, we started like say, well, who is at this now level? And we started reaching out to people that were at the same level, started bringing people in, and kept going. So eventually within 6 to 8 months, our businesses started growing rapidly because we were all partnering together and doing things together. And eventually we were at this level here. I remember it was like a year later, we were at this level here. And I remember because Joe Vitale, who was one of the people I'd reached out to who hadn't responded back, I reached out to him again. And this time, because I'd been doing a lot of stuff and I was out there publishing and putting things out, he knew who I was. And so when I messaged him, then he responded back to me, and we did a partnership way back then. But it was part of it was like I had to like earn my way in there. Like I had to go and do things with people at my same level or maybe a little bit above and keep working my way in. So I would start that way, start looking around, like who can you network with right now, who is going to return your call, who is going to get to know you, and collectively start working together. And you'd be shocked at how quickly your business can rise. And that way you get on the radar of people who are in your Dream 100. They know who you are. They see in your face, and that's really, I think, the way that I did it initially. I think all of you guys can do it as well.
Yeah. I get that question a lot. So before somebody else, because they'll be like, well, you're Kim. So I'm like, okay, so how do you start back at the beginning? So that was such a great answer. Earn your stripes, so to speak, and just keep raising. And I love what you said about, you're more together. You grow together with those collabs and stuff. I totally agree. Okay, so what is the best traffic source in the world? That's a big old fat question.
Best in the world.
Yeah. What's the best in the world as it comes to traffic? Where should you focus?
Oh, there's so many good ones. I would say probably the best, and it's something it's the easiest, I think, for people to do as well. It doesn't take any technical skills or, any of those kind of things. I share it in the back. In fact, there's 3 sections in the book. Section 3 is called growth hacking. Oh, I'll open right to it. And this is like showing different ways that, we used to get traffic before we had Facebook or Instagram, any of the social networks. And one of the chapters in here, I share a concept called integration marketing. And I actually learned it from my first mentor. His name was Mark Joyner. And he wrote a book called Integration Marketing. I remember reading it. And in the book, he talked about, he said that a lot of people will go and they'll find someone in their Dream 100. And their whole goal is like, if I can get so-and-so to send an email to their list, I'll be rich, And they do spend all the time, energy, and effort, and they get that person to say yes, they promote it, and they see a surge in sales, and then it dies like 2 days later. And they're like, oh, I did all that work, and I got a little bit of sales, but it just kind of ended. And what Mark said, he said, I want you guys to start thinking about things differently. Like, how do you figure out like people you can integrate with? You integrate into their actual sales process. So for example, let's say I came to Kim and I was like, all right, Kim, you've got a webinar, you've got a squeeze page or something. And like someone comes in and they join your list and they go through and they get 8 emails from you or 10 emails from you. Instead of you just doing a big promotion, how about like, what would it take for me to be email number 11? So email number 11, you promote the book or you promote a webinar or something, right? And if I can get you to say yes, then we put that email in once. And then from that point forward for forever, as long as you keep promoting that funnel, every time you get a new lead coming in, they go through your sequence. Then at the end of it, they get an email from my sequence, and now they come into my world, right? And now what happens is I set that deal once, but for the next year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, I'm always getting traffic from every time your business grows, and my business is growing as well. And if you can set up that something like that with more than one person, with 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 people, imagine what happens over time. Now, when we launched ClickFunnels, that was a big question I had. It's like, we can rely on Facebook or on Google, and we're going to try to get out there as much as we can. But what happens if those sources dry up? Like, I don't want to build my company on a foundation that's not solid. And so I started thinking, like, who can I integrate with? How can I integrate into different people's companies? And I've been doing that for 5 years now. I was like setting up things where on the back end of someone's funnel, they then promote ClickFunnels, or on the back end of their funnel, they promote one of my books, or on the thank you page, after someone goes through all their products on the thank you page, I have them put a link back to my book. And I'm setting up all these different things. So now, 5 years later, we get so many leads and so much traffic coming from places that we set up years ago. And so I think if you guys start thinking about things like that strategically, it's not hard. It's not technical. You're just finding a way to weave yourself into the sales processes of other people. And then every time their company grows, yours grows as well.
I love that. Love that tip. I hope you guys really paid attention to that one because it was amazing. And we only have about 4 more minutes technically with Russell. So I have one other question, but I want you guys to know how you get the book. So go to kimgerst.com, Traffic Secrets. Guys, it is technically free. All you have to do is pay for the shipping and handling. So go grab it because I promise you, your socks are going to be blown off. And honestly, if you don't have his other books, like, this is one of my favorites as well, his Expert Secrets book. Guys, if you don't have sales funnels, this is going to blow your socks off too. So anyway, because I want to be cognizant. Russell is like going from one interview to another. Hint, hint. You can do that too if you get it all set up.
I teach the strategy in the book, so what we're doing, we practice what we preach.
Exactly. So I know a lot of people feel like they have to pay for traffic to be successful, and you just highlighted one way where that's not true. What is your overall impression around that? Because I agree with you. I don't think we need to be reliant on all of putting all your eggs in the Facebook basket or all in the Google basket, right? What is your take on, do you have to pay for traffic to have some success?
What's interesting is I didn't buy my first paid ad until I'd been in business for over 10 years. And a lot of people say that, wait, I thought you have to buy ads to have a business. I'm like, no, I didn't. I was so scared of it. I didn't do it for over a decade. And so, yes, first off, yes, you can. And the question is well, then how do you do it? And I think it comes back to, some of the principles that I talked about, who's your dream 100? And then when I find my dream 100, it's there's two ways to get traffic from them. One is to buy your way in, right? So I go and I buy an ad. So for example, I can, and I do buy ads targeting Kim's following, targeting Tony Robbins' following, targeting Dean Gracioso's, all my Dream 100, I buy ads targeting their people. And that's good, but the better traffic, honestly, the better traffic is not when I'm paying for the ad. The better traffic is if I can work my way in. So right now, I didn't pay Kim to be on this live stream right now, right? I'm coming and I'm going to come and I'll answer questions, I'll serve, I'll help as much as I can. So I'm working my way in, and now her fans and followers will see it. And that traffic is actually better because it's coming from a personal recommendation from Kim versus if I just bought ads targeting her following, right? And so that's what you have to understand is for me, the first decade, that's all I did is I just work my way in. Okay, who's got my dream customers? How can I work my way in? Can I do a Facebook Live with them? Can I do a podcast interview? Can I create a content or a course and let them give it to their people for free? How do I work my way in? And that traffic honestly is better because it's coming from a personal recommendation from that person as opposed to just the other way around. And it's interesting, you see the big companies do this as well. I was during this quarantine time, my wife and kids and everybody, we've been going through and watching all the Marvel movies from the beginning till to the end, and we're having so much fun doing it. And what I'm excited for is the next Marvel movie that's coming out is Black Widow, and Scarlett Johansson is she's Black Widow, and we all love Scarlett Johansson. She's so cool. And what's interesting is you guys watch when that movie's about to launch, yes, Marvel Studios will buy ads on TV and they'll buy ads on the trailers before movies, and they'll be buying ads. But about a week before the movie comes out, they take Scarlett Johansson and she will go work her way in. She'll be on all the talk shows. She'll be on the Today Show, the Tonight Show, the Good Morning America. She'll do radio. She'll do everything where she comes and she works her way in. She shares an interview. She shows a clip from the movie. And then at the end, she'll tell everyone this weekend's opening night, go watch it. And then hopefully that'll push enough people in for free that it supplements the paid ads, and that gets people to actually come and watch the movie. And so just the way Hollywood does it, just I'm doing it right now, you guys can all do that for your business as well, or the businesses you're working with. Get the business owner to get them on live podcasts, live Facebook Lives, and have them work their way in and get exposure that way as well.
Yeah, definitely. I love that answer. So it's basically sweat equity, guys.
Yep, putting in the time.
Put in the time. There's no overnight success for sure. Well, I want to thank you, Russell. I promised that I would stick to your time limit here. So thank you for coming and sharing your amazingness. And honestly, thank you so much for writing this book, because it's going to help so many people, like all the others that you've written. Go grab it, guys. You are definitely going to be blessed by it. Thank you so much, Russell. Have a great rest of your day. Appreciate you so much.
Thank you, Kim, for having me. I don't take it lightly that you shared this time with your audience, and thank you so much for letting me do that. You're amazing. And yeah, hope you guys all love the book. I'll get you a free copy right now. And thank you, Kim, for spending the time with me. I really appreciate it.
Definitely. And you too. And good luck with the book launch.
All right. Thanks so much.
Take care. And if anybody wants to hang out for a minute and ask any questions, I'm not as genius in the traffic space as Russell is, but I will be happy to answer any questions since we didn't have a whole lot of time for Q&A there. But if you haven't got the book, guys, seriously, what I find fascinating about this is it's not about Facebook ads. It is, or, you know, a lot of, I mean, not to say that you can't find some tips in here, but it is really evergreen. It's really about the psychology behind traffic and, you know, how you get it. So I hope you'll go check it out. Hope you will go grab your copy. And it's just pay shipping and handling. Not a whole lot of downside to that, right? All right. Hey, I just wanted to say hey to everyone because I didn't get a chance to say hey on the front side. Making sure we didn't, I'm looking back to see if we got any questions, but right now I'm not seeing any. All right, guys. Well, all right. Richard says he ordered the book last week. Yeah, this is a downside to this. I will give you this book is not released until I think around May, I want to say. I wish I had the exact date. But you can go ahead and grab a copy now, and you're going to love it when you get it. All right. All right, guys. Well, I will let you go. Have a great rest of your day. Actually, you know what? I'm going to cut this one off because I don't want to mess that up, but I'm going to go live again in just a minute and share something else with you guys. So give me 10 minutes or so and meet me back if you want to hear about something that I'm getting ready to do. All right, guys, take care and we'll talk soon. Have a great rest of your day. God bless.